You want to shoot videos, huh? Do you want to shoot videos this morning, huh? What do you think? Oh yeah, you all set? What are we gonna say to the people today, huh? Yeah, you want to show them your beautiful face? Well, greetings all. Yeah, Gracie Cat and I are here. We're with you this morning. We haven't been around for a little while. Well, the drought broke. Yeah, the 3 weeks where we had no rain at all, that's over. We've been getting some showers. They're intermittent and infrequent this morning, but I see there's one coming at us right now. It'll probably start before I'm finished. I think I hear the rain already. Yeah, it's coming at us. Gracie's here with me, staying dry, right, girl? Yeah, she says I want to stay dry with Bill while he's shooting videos. That's a smart place for a cat to be. Yeah, so the weather's changing, and it's cold. Oh, hey, I mean, Punxsutawney Phil, that overweight groundhog in Pennsylvania, he seems to think that spring's coming early, but he might know a thing or two. I heard yesterday that the groundhog is only 40% accurate. I would say most psychics make at least 50%, and so do the rest of us. So, you know, I think Groundhog needs to get fired from his job. I can't see the top of the mountains this morning, but I'm very sure that they're white. It's cold down here. Last night it hit 54 degrees. Yep. It was pretty cool. Right now, last I looked at the thermometer, it was still only 59, and the sun's coming up. You know, it rises up a little bit when the clouds pass and then drops again. This is a high pressure heading from the west to the east above the islands. It's going to create that Pineapple Express for you guys there on the west coast. But ordinarily, these systems are warmer. Well, I can't tell you why, but this one, it's cold. And since it's coming at us from the west, that means it's probably, I don't know, getting jet streams that came out of Siberia or something over in the Chinese mainland. Whatever. I haven't been looking that far over there, and I don't even know if those guys do reporting on jet streams in any language I can speak. Well, it's not unusual that we will get a fairly warm and sunny dry spell in the month of January or February, somewhere in there. And I've seen it before, and it usually gets me all enthusiastic about planting vegetable seeds, the spring garden, yeah. Well, I am working on preparing the garden out here and getting rid of the weeds and all. And I did have one of those moments of intense enthusiasm where I ran into the nursery and planted, 2 kinds of lettuce, 2 kinds of cabbage, broccoli, sweet onions. Right now I can't remember. Squash. Godzilla squash is going on out there. Anyway, I was getting all excited, but in the back of my mind, I kept telling myself, this happens all the time, you know this. Yeah, that I'll get started planting stuff out in the field here, in the nursery tables, not inside a hoop house. And, the weather'd be great, and I'll start sowing seeds, and next thing you know, nothing comes up because it gets so cold and so wet. That's exactly what's happening now. I did start some pepper seeds, but they are under lights inside my shed because it's just too cold out here. This happened to me in the past, and it took me well over a month to get any of the peppers to germinate because it was so cold. So I'm holding on, but people looking for early spring, cool season type vegetables, you'll find them here. I got them. Somewhere before the end of the month, you will also find melons and peppers and tomatoes and that sort of thing too. I'll get with it, but I'm just gonna wait until this cold goes away. Yeah, if I was working entirely inside a greenhouse like a lot of the growers are, then, it'd be a different story. But I work right out in the rain and make sure that my plants are well adapted to the local climate. If the local climate didn't kill them on the table, it's a pretty good chance they'll survive in the field. I know that one of my neighbors came by the other day going, "Oh, Bill, do you have some eggplant? Do you have some eggplant?" I said, "Oh, Gary, Ellen and I really kind of stopped growing it because I don't eat it very much. It's a lot of work to make a dish of eggplant. There's not much nutrition in it. I tend to stick to things that I really get the bang for my buck when I eat them. So I stopped growing. I don't hate it or anything. I like eggplant parmesan. I like Thai eggplant dishes and all that. When somebody else bothers to cook them for me, and grow them. So I stopped buying eggplant seeds. Well, I told Gary, well, you go to town, you get a bag of eggplant, and I'll go ahead and I'll grow it for you. Apparently, that was that and some Florida Everglade cherry tomatoes were the only two things these guys got from me that actually thrived in their garden. They had eggplant and tomatoes. They said, everything else went south. I said, yeah, well, I'd consider it to be an insult and my fault if it wasn't that. Come here. And we walked out. They said, that's a cabbage. Same plants, Gary. These broccoli, yeah, it's the same plants. All right. So they were performing here. They just were working at their house. I know that apple banana is the most popular banana here in Hawaii, and I grow apple, but I also grow Williams. There are negatives to Williams. The stalks break. The roots are susceptible to the corm weevils. I like them because they're very high yielding. A good crop will be a 50, 60 pound stalk. As far as flavor goes, almost exactly like the Chiquita in the supermarket. And so because of that, I have a hard time even getting rid of them. Everybody around here wants to eat the apple banana, and I got at least 25 pounds of them or so sitting over here yet. I've been working my way through them. I don't mind them. They're good to me. Apple's better, yes, but Williams is fine. It tastes like the Chiquita bananas at Safeway. Ellen don't like them either. So, here I got a 50-pound stalk of bananas, and I managed to give a couple of to Kevin. He took a couple of racks, but nobody else wants them. So if there's anybody out there that likes Williams bananas, you might want to drop in, see me. I've been working on making banana bread. Making pans of banana bread. It's been good, but you can't use up 50 pounds of bananas making banana bread because 50 pounds of bananas equals 500 pounds or 500 loaves of banana bread. Yeah. So that don't work either. The cold has really been the most notable aspect here in Mountain View. Ordinarily, it can get cold at night when it's clear, but I'm not familiar with it being this cold when it's cloudy. This is a little different. But the cold isn't the main issue. We've seen colder temperatures here, etc. It's the wind speeds. Yeah. Now, this part of the Hawaiian Islands, because it's facing the Pacific and the trade winds, and there's no channels and no elevation or anything here, as the trade winds come in, they drop their rain, and they do it, somewhere between 3 and 17 miles an hour, I suppose, is the typical wind speed over here. Usually the highest I ever measure is about 14 miles an hour, and that was recently, I think 15 miles an hour was probably the highest speed that I saw on our gauge. Although I could see at a bit of the distance as you rose up and got to the top of the bamboo or the cook pines, it was moving 25 miles an hour or more up there. Yeah, it was just down here at the ground level near the house. Wind speeds were relatively calm, but I believe up on Mauna Loa, things were probably moving at nearly 50 mile an hour gusts at times. It has been very windy. Yeah, I'd keep snapping the bungee cords that are holding my shade cloth over the orchids here, and breaking tree limbs on gunpowder trees, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Making a general mess out of things, tipping stuff over. This is a very windy event, and it's going to continue for a while, too. They say it's not over. Well, friend Kevin dropped by, give me a hand. He's been pretty busy these days working as a security guard around here. Yeah, he's even at the general store down the street. Well, he had the time, came by and helped me chip coffee trees. I cut down about 25 or 30 more coffee trees. The coffee rust and the coffee bean borer, forget it. As far as I'm concerned, coffee is not a crop here anymore, sadly, but it's not. They just let too many things get on the island that's messed it up. And our coffee is genetically not immune to rust. I don't go with conspiracy theories about elections or space lasers much, but when it comes to agriculture, for years I have been pounding on this, going, look, folks, our government sees terrorism as being, people hacking into utility grids, people with assault rifles, landmines, RPGs, rocket launchers, whatever. That's the way we tend to see terrorism. If there is a wing and an aspect to the U.S. government that sees terrorism as agricultural, it's underfunded, tiny, and maybe doesn't even exist. I've never heard anything about it. My own head, I guess, is the only place that this ever comes from. I recall about maybe 4 years or so before the coffee bean or coffee rust got to the islands. Some of the major GMO concerns that produce genetically engineered coffee came here with the idea of trying to sell this product to the farmers on the island. It was through the university system, if I believe correctly. How this all happened. I didn't pay close enough attention to it because it was received like a lead balloon. Everybody over here would get off the island and go away. Okay. It's sort of like champagne. Champagne grapes have a name. They're from a region. They're a certain kind of a grape. And when they aren't grown from that grape and they're not grown in that region, can you call it champagne? Well, it's bubbly wine, but same goes with Kona coffee. It's got a genetic origin. It's grown in a certain region. And if you start changing it, it's not Kona coffee anymore. And so this genetic engineering thing was not at all well received. Well, it's just a matter of suddenly a couple of years later, warnings that coffee rust could get to the island. It could make all electricity. Sure enough, it did make it here. And the timing was suspicious at best. Right after we refused to accept genetically engineered coffee that was rust resistant. And I see this kind of thing happening just a little bit too much. Hawaii's a good case for it. You bring ring spot virus here to the island and put it into the papayas. Yeah, the only way to deal with it was they genetically engineered the darn papayas. I don't trust the people that do this kind of work. In general, they tend to be rather smarmy. And so it would be my opinion that they create crops to deal with problems that they may very possibly instigate. Making that claim would be salacious, and I'm not trying to slander anybody, and I don't know. All I'm saying is that past practice, like trying to sue farmers because pollen from genetically engineered crops drifts into their fields and things, people who would invent something like the Terminator gene that would just turn off a seed so it won't grow again unless you treat it with their special chemical to unlock the gene. That kind of thinking would tend to lead me to believe that they also would create their own marketplaces by contaminating environments with pests. Yeah. It's the easiest way to sell that product. Well, so we shoveled all those chipped coffee trees onto my dragon fruit, which recently was fed with fish emulsion. I'm hoping for a February bloom over here, and so I'm trying to take care of the plants. A little bit neglected lately. Then I took the rest of the chips and I piled them on top of the log pile where I had spawned shiitake some years ago, shiitake mushroom. Yeah, it's that one. It has only been partially successful. Some of the dolls I put in have grown mushrooms, others have not. So I just threw the chips on top of the pile and said, "Have at it, guys. See if you can eat this. We'll see what happens to them." The spelling of shiitake mushroom, somebody brought that up a while ago on one of the videos I'd done years back on spawning shiitake. And I had spelled it as I thought I knew it was spelled from my history in the Midwest. They grow a lot of these on oak logs there. And I thought it was spelled Shitake, shiitake. Well, turns out that one of the guys who pointed at this said, "Yeah, that's the way I always spelled it too, but guess what? They're spelling it with 2 T's. And at that time, I looked it up and said, "Wow, that's right. There are 2 T's in here now. Shiitake. Okay, almost like 2 words." Well, he said, "Well, it's a Mandela effect. It's a Mandela effect." And I go, I don't know, man. It's just me from the Midwest trying to spell a Japanese mushroom, I guess. Well, then I got kind of curious just yesterday at this one, and I took a look when I was spelling shiitake and found that there is no spelling with 2 T's anymore. No, it disappeared. According to Google, the shiitake mushroom is now spelled just like I knew it was spelled, Shitake, or you spell it with 2 I's, shiitake. I didn't even know how to say that. But yeah, they had it with 2 I's, not 2 T's. 1 T or 2 I's. Take your pick. Well, I'm going back to spelling it with a single T. But, now I'm beginning to believe in Mandela effects. Every time I go look for a definition and a spelling on the word shiitake, I find that it's being spelled differently. Am I shifting worlds in between all of this? Mushrooms can do strange things. They're really creepy. Hang loose. Aloha.